Good day, everyone. So today is the last of the topics I'll be covering. So we'll be talking about Namo Thanam today. So Namo Thanam, as the name says, is Pranipat Sutra. આપણે ઘણીવાર આપણે કોઈ કે તમને પ્રણામ કરું છું. પ્રણામ means obeisance. So there you can see Pranipat essentially is a sutra of obeisance. So I think it's quite appropriate that we give our humble obeisance to our Chair Sri Channaji. So Namo Thanam Sutra is actually like all other prayers, Lokar Mantra, Logos, Vasadam is a prayer, it's a prarthana. And so what does prarthana mean? Prarthana. So if you look at prarthana, Latin word, prarthana means precari. So that's Latin word for prayer. And that means to ask or earnestly beg. If you look at the Sanskrit meaning, again it means like question, prashna, pratna, prashna. So it essentially means that the definition of prayer is a solemn request for help or expression or expression of thanks addressed to God or another deity. So essentially when reading pratna, essentially is to ask for something, or other reason why people would say the prayer is to adore the qualities of someone. Say, oh, qualities. So I'm not asking for anything, but I'm literally utilizing someone who is more superior than us. So essentially that's kind of the general theme of what a pratna is. So Namo Thanam Sutra, the interest of time, will not be out of interest. How many of you do know Namo Thanam Sutra by heart? So what? Probably half the small audience, but at least half the people. So we will not recite it in the interest of time, but there's actually a very nice recitation by Uche Sadhu Shilakiji. If you will go into virayathen.org/audio, you'll actually, it's actually uploaded there, so you can actually listen to her melodious voice, and she sings it in a very nice, beautiful rhythm of Namo Thanam. So, I don't know how much we'll be able to cover today. There are actually 60 slides which I prepared, and the time is almost probably an hour. So we'll see how far we go. But the idea is to go through all these different meanings of what this prayer actually means. So this sutra is also known as Shakra Indra Stava. Now let's, for example, for a moment, imagine that if say Boris Johnson walks in here, or Trump walks in, or Modi walks in here, what would be our normal reaction? There'll be kind of sense of awe. We'll all get up. Perhaps we'll actually give them a bow and say, please welcome in. Take a similar situation that Devlokma. So you are in the heavens, angels. Emapa is actually a hierarchy. So in the heavens, there'll be some devs who are sort of doing some low-level work. There'll be other devs who are kind of soldiers protecting the devs. And there's going to be some kind of superior dev, the Indra Maharaj. So there's also some hierarchy in the Devlok. Now, we are not talking of the Indra Maharaj. Now, the Indra Maharaj, because they are superior, they have got the utmost power. So even a small dev will have lots of power, but an Indra Maharaj has got lots of power. And nothing can shake them. Like in Devlok, there is no earthquakes or anything. It's a place of a lot of happiness and joy. So you don't have any calamities in Devlok. So now what's actually happening in Devlok, that Indra Maharaj is sitting on his throne, and suddenly the throne starts shaking. And people start wondering, we have never seen this scene here. How can the Indra Maharajis, who is the superior of all the Indra Maharajis, how can his throne start shaking? There are no earthquakes here. There is no other enemies who can come and actually fight him. So what is causing this? And then suddenly the Indra Maharaj himself wonders, why is my throne shaking? And through Avdignan, he realizes, the reason for my throne to shake is there is actually a birth of a very special soul on earth. And that's the birth of Tirthankara Maharaj. He says, because of that birth, such a pious birth, my throne is shaking. He gets up from his throne, and legend says, or mythologically it's believed, that he gets up from his throne and bows down with kind of left knee up and starts reciting the Namo Thanam Sutra. And all the other angels are actually wondering that who is this soul being born, that Athena, like for example, suppose if Modi walks in here, or Boris Johnson comes in here, and if Boris Johnson actually bows down to you, what will be the reaction of everyone here? That who is this person here, that actually someone like Boris Johnson or Modi is actually coming and bowing down to you. So there's actually a sense of awe. That who are you actually, by the way? How can someone so eminent come and actually bow down to you? Same thing, the other angels are wondering, Indra Maharaj pote ubha thai che, and he's actually bowing down to someone. And then they realize that it's the work of an Arihant, and because of that, Indra Maharaj is actually taking from throne and reciting this Namutanam Sutra. So in this Namutanam Sutra, the Sutra begins with Namutanam and ends with Vandavan, like the entire prayer. And in between, there are more than 35 attributes of Arihant. So it says Namo Thanam Arihantanam. So I'm bowing down to Arihantanam. So Arihant Chekon, who is the Arihant? And in actually, 35 qualities here are actually going to be described in the Sutra. So Arihants are those souls who destroy their inner enemies. So we discussed it last time. They are venerable ones who are the founders of religion, because they are the ones who established the religion. And attain knowledge on their own. They are supreme dynamics. Ajay that attribute state, it's actually coming in the prayers itself. Puri Suttamanam, Puri Sasihanam, Puri Savara Pundariyanam, Pundari lotus, Puri Savara Gandhahathinam. So these are all the kind of attributes which are coming in Namutanam Sutra, and you say that you are supreme, you are like lion, you are like lotus amongst humans and elephants of the Ganadhar species. Those who are bestowers of fearlessness, Abhaidhyanam, Chakkudhyanam, Maggadhyanam. So Arihants are people who actually give you fearlessness. If you're sitting, there's actually a very nice murti in India, whereby there is Adesh Bhagwan in Bahubali murti, and there is a pot of milk, and a tiger and a cow are drinking from the same pot. So in the normal situation, you cannot have a tiger and a cow, but in Bhagwan there is just no fear. You can actually have both of them drinking from the same pot of milk. So they are bestowers of fearlessness. Chakkudhyanam, Maggadhyanam, Mag એટલે માર્ગ, આપણે માર્ગ સાચો માર્ગ આપે છે. Sharanadayanam, refuge, life and vision. They are benefactors of religion, preceptors of religion, leaders, nath che of the religion. Charioteers, Chakkavatinam, charioteers of religion, superior in religion and help to conquer the journey of the fourfold existence. They uproot wrong knowledge. So these are who the Tirthankars are. They are givers of knowledge and divide of deceit. They are conquerors of attachment and aversion. And this comes repeatedly in our prayers. Rag Dvesh Rahit Chapa Tirthankar. They put no attachment, they put no aversion. In a Gautam Swami Parase, who is someone who is like his disciple, there is no that much attachment, and someone who is their enemy, they do not have the oh, our enemy here. They are just absolutely neutral. And they cross the ocean of life and death. They are all knowing and all seeing. So they have got infinite knowledge and infinite perception. They are without disturbance, stable, free from disease, without end, anant, without decay. Our body might decay. We are prone to our flowers say that they might wilt, but the Tirthankars say there is nothing. They don't decay. They are without obstacles. Nothing sort of obstructs them, and they are free from transmigration. Our cycle of birth and death, they are beyond that. They have attained the Sita state, and they have conquered fear and are venerable omniscient beings. So these are all the kind of various qualities which makes us feel that yes, I am bound down to you. Now, the question comes, when do people do prayers, there are three ways of doing bhakti. So, bhakti yoga, Mirabai she was so engrossed in bhakti. Knowledge yoga, people are just believing just pure knowledge. Knowledge is the only way to sort of get to liberation. And the last one is action. Action is the most important. So if you look at some of the Vedic tradition or some of the Hindu tradition, some people just believe that this is the only path. Devotion is the only path. And they say humans are too small or weak and ignorant to follow the knowledge and action. Therefore, no choice but to devote in the feet of God and beg for redemption. So God is the all-powerful, and I'm a very slow level being. I don't have that much power, and therefore all what I can do is just do my devotion to someone who is much more superior than me. And the devotion is the only path for redemption. The others will say knowledge is the only path to redemption. That this world is pure Maya, it's an illusion. Austerities, not austerities, but knowledge can only redeem us from this pain and suffering. All what you have to do is believe that pure Atma chu, Sharir ne Atma juda che. So, and the others who believe action is the only path. And action must kare, yagna kare. So like a lot of the Hindu faith say, I have to appease the gods, I have to make them happy. So let me do some kind of actions, and the gods will be happy with my actions, and then sort of grace me or grant me with liberation. So but it's saying action without knowledge is blind. And that's quite obvious. After driving Sikta, if you're just going to be driving without knowing the rules, without any knowledge, then we know that that's going to be futile, that you cannot drive. Action without devotion is meaningless. So Jainism does not advocate any of these parts in isolation. Jainism is a philosophy of Anekantvad. It says all these three things need to be together. You cannot take anything one in isolation. You just can't say Bhakti Yoga is the only part. This is important, and the action is also important. So unison of all three is important for salvation. So devotion, what's the benefit of devotion? We become strong in our resolves. If you adore someone very much, you become in love with them. So that means I start adoring, wow, Tirthankar Maharaj Bhagwan Awa chhe, and you have that kind of love. Anandanji Maharaj chhe, he was like a mystic, and when he realized Maharaj Tirthankar chhe, they almost becomes like wanderers. They don't care about any customs or any. They just wander in the village. Some people might think they are mad because they're literally so happy and ecstatic that they're singing the joys of Tirthankar Maharaj. And chalta chalta, they're just happy, totally mast hoy potana, because on their Tirthankar ke jepon hoy lokana God. So knowledge is important. Discriminate between truth and untruth. And this is quite unique to us, that out of all the species, you have the birds, the animals, and everyone, it's the humans who have got this capability of knowledge, who can discriminate between truth and untruth. Sanchun and Kotuma, and that's called the mind. So we are endowed with the mind, and a much more developed mind. We do believe that elephants and some other species do have some sense of mind, but not as evolved as us. So humans are the only ones which have got that kind of discriminative power. And lastly, action, adopt conduct of non-violence and truth. So unity is a three-part of liberation. But if you look at the book, Upadhyay Amarmuni says, but he still believes that out of the three, devotion is actually supreme. He says, are almost equal. And he says devotion is important because it blossoms the other two. It's a basic foundation. Without devotion, tree of knowledge and action cannot grow. So the devotion has to be there. Who are you praying to? Who are my gods? Who are my Parmeshwars? So devotional prayers are Lokar Mantra, prime Lokar Maha Mantra keche, Logas, Namuthanam, Tirthankars are worshipped, they have conquered Raga and Dvesh, and they reached the zenith of equanimity. Now, where is this Namuthanam Sutra recited? Traditionally, people who are from the Swatambar sect, they actually do the Chaityamandan. The Chaityamandan Akaro, so these are the kind of the sequence which is being followed. Iyave Sutra Karo, Tasotri Karo, and then eventually Namuthanam Sutra is recited. Again, it's recited with the left leg raised up. Après jare Pratikaman kariye during the position time, many times Namuthanam is recited, and then kind of Chavanti chain, and then it sort of, this is kind of the sequence. If you literally put more thought into it, there is also some kind of reason behind the sequence of prayers. Now let's look at it, for example, in our day-to-day life, a young guy meets a girl. So what's going to happen? There's going to be acquaintance, that I've now met someone. And out of that acquaintance, you're going to have some attraction. Oh yeah, now I like this person very much so. And after that attraction comes adoration. I adore this person. It's almost very similar in this sequence of prayers. I do not know who my Parmeshwars are. I'm saying, okay, there's someone who is superior to me. Virtues. What are the virtues of my Parmeshwars? My Parmeshwars have got all these great qualities. And then kind of the devotion comes in, and then comes the veneration. And that's kind of the sequence of this. So here we're looking at the virtues, virtues, and then veneration. Now, we are now going to focus on the first word, Namuthanam. And it's kind of amazing to see that how much depth there is in this word of just Namuthanam. This is the first word. Now, if you walk into a garden, say if you went into Hyde Park or one of the parks, if you see a lot of roses, does the fragrance automatically come through? Like when you smell, it's automatic. The flowers do not have to say something, oh, I got a give fragrance. It at all times emits fragrance. Similarly, every word of Namuthanam is filled with profound essence. The essence in Namuthanam is just emanating all the time. I don't know, let's do a quick experiment. Is there anyone who's a couple here? Any couples? No couples? Sandeep bhai, आओ, couple show. Kami pa आओ. So to demonstrate, to explain the word of Namuthanam, Sandeep, would you agree? In Nilamin Pase, she has got lots of good qualities.
Yes.
There are so many more qualities, even perhaps
I don't remember what she's telling to me. Yes, she does.
but more qualities than perhaps even what you have.
Yes.
So if she's got more qualities than what you have, then is she worthy of adoration?
Of course.
Of course. Then in that case, would you then bow down to her?
Yes, I would.
You would?
Because she's a soul, perhaps her soul is more spiritually advanced than mine. So.
Okay.
But
So
even the qualities, yes.
But yeah, so I think that was a good response, but I sensed a bit of hesitation. You had to think twice. Whether it wasn't coming almost straight away. You had to really think twice that maybe she's got a little bit more qualities, and then she's worthy of adoration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you say no, then you have to do something else. So but because you say yes, I think you pass the test. So thank you very much.
Maybe you should go back.
Okay, if Sandeep Bhai said no, then what we are trying to do is perhaps get someone who's got a lot of muscles and then say, Sandeep Bhai, you actually have to bow down. So that's another way you can actually get someone to bow down to someone. Either it comes from the self or you actually have to use force. And if you see in many of the other countries like China or Russia, where there's a lot of kind of authoritarian state, people want to get respect out of force. You have to respect my authority. I'm in charge, so you have to respect, otherwise there will be some dire consequences. So those are the two ways of how someone will. Now, what happens is that Namuthunam શું થાય છે આપણે કે ભગવાન આપણે નમુથુનમ આપણે જે કરીએ છીએ before we get to that stage, just look at this plant. When the plant is facing the sun, we have all done these experiments when you were in school. What happens with this plant? How if the plant is here, and then if the sun is on this side, what's going to happen to the plant? It's going to then start facing the sun. If you look at the waterfall starts there, it goes down. By default, it just goes down. Why doesn't the water go up? I mean, water wouldn't just start automatically going up. We know there is gravity, whatever it is, from high level to a low level, we know that that's the law of nature. In the same way, Namuthunam means મારે ભગવાનને નમવું નથી, automatically નમી જવાય છે. And the essence of Namuthunam means that the Bhagwani qualities are so profound that no one's forcing me to say, oh, bow down to this. Or no one, I realize the importance of the qualities which my Parmeshwari has, and therefore Namuthunam happens automatically. And it's like the automatic sequence saying, that, yeah, there's no compulsion. I don't have to think, ભગવાનને મારે નમન બંધન કરું કે ના કરું. ભગવાનને મારે કોઈ ભગવાનની મૂર્તિ જોઈએ, ગમે તે કરે automatically હાથ ફોલ્ડ થઈને આપણે નમન થઈ જ જાય છે કે oh, this is my ભગવાન. And that's the essence of Namuthunam. The fact of bowing down to someone more superior happens automatically. So Namuthunam is Namo. So it starts with Namo. Namo means to bow down. And to do bow down, essentially you need humility. So when Sandeep Bhai said, yeah, I've got no hesitation, then there has to be humility. Otherwise, someone will say, I will not bow down. I think my chokra same bow down to your small child. Why should I? I'm actually elder to my son. Why should I bow down to him? He should actually bow down to me. So that ego will kick in. That I'm elder. So why should I bow down to someone younger? Or why should I bow down to my wife? Or why should I bow down to this person here? All these things will come in. Even if I believe that my wife has got superior qualities, there will be that hesitation because ego will kick in. Why should I bow down to someone? So to bow down to anyone requires a great leap of faith. It's not an easy thing to bow down to someone or to say sorry. So humility, Vinay, means to let go of ego. So Vinay, which is the word of in Hindi, Vinay leads to Vijay. Humility leads to victory. In the 68 letters of Naukar Mahamantra, આપણે કે અક્ષર તીરથનો સાર છે 68 અક્ષર એના જાનો 68 તીરથ સાર નૌકર મંત્રમાં જે 68 letters. Namo appears, I think, what is it? Forget how much is it there? 10 times. So if you do 10 out of 68, that's 15%. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam. So if you look at this 5, and Namo Arihantanam. So it starts with Nam and it ends with Nam. It doesn't say Namo Arihanta. It says Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam. So it starts with Nam. You've got Arihant, Siddh, Acharya, Upadhyay, Sadhu, and it also ends with Nam. So it occurs 15% of the Navkar mantra is Namo. And why is that important? So to give an analogy, is before surgery, the sugar levels need to be appropriate. Doctor jab surgery kare the you need to have all the sugar levels, blood pressure to proper ho jaye. Similarly, before merging with the Lord, so my ego or me level needs to be appropriate level. If you naman karu chu, that's fine. Another analogy is okay, you got a pot of ghee. Aku bharelu chhe pot of ghee. And ghee bhari sakso, can you put something more ghee inside that? It's totally full. You cannot put anything more. So what it says, कि मारामा जो एकदम the ego होए, that means I'm full of myself. If I'm full of myself, then how can I get the qualities of my Tirthankars coming in me? I cannot imbibe anything else because I'm just full of my. I need to empty myself. If I become empty of my ego, then only will the good qualities of the Tirthankar come in me. So the whole idea of this Namo is get rid of, empty yourself, get rid of your ego. And once when you empty yourself, then you're ready to start receiving the grace. I've got the grace, divine grace. You only receive the grace if it's Namo. So the Namo is very, very important. So Namutranam almost is another analogy is all internet accounts require password. Password to meet the Lord is Namo. I mean Namo kare like password ready okay, now at least I can now meet the Lord. Just as gravitational force pulls everything down, similarly ego pulls the soul down. Ego is such a thing, man, growth, man, maya, low. So man is ego, and it's one of those four kashais which actually pulls a human being down. So you need the feeling of emptiness before entering the Lord. Only after Namutranam does the praise of the Lord begin. Great Tirthankars are praised along with their pristine qualities. Every quality, every word, every alphabet of Namutranam is divine magic. Another example. Telephone code for all cities is 0. The telephone number is 0796, 02, London code, JJ, or any country it starts with 0. Any telephone numbers, so you have to start with 0. Similarly, we need zeroness or emptiness before all praises to the Lord, outside and inside. We need to be empty ourselves. Now, another example, what's the essence of Namutranam? Why did the whole prayer start with Namutranam? Why didn't he just say, Bhagwan qualities, they're all powerful, they're all knowing, they're all merciful, they're fearlessness. So you could have literally had a prayer which had lists all the qualities of Tirthankar. Why does it start with Namutranam? And the reason for that is, so for example, there is these two pictures here. This is say Aston Martin, this is a palatial house, and this is a lot of decent jewelry. Now, which two letters if you add to this will actually make you feel that this is great? Or what will make them feel like, something great? What two letters do you need in front of this? Or my?
Mine.
If you said my, this is my Aston Martin, this is my palatial house, if this is my jewelry, can you see the effect? Otherwise, it's just pieces of items. What difference does it make? The moment I added the two letters of my, can you imagine? If tomorrow you go boost and also you will start also appreciating, look at him, he's got this. So not only does it affect me, it also affects the society and everyone just by these two letters. Without these two letters, this is a car, it's Aston Martin. So these two letters makes all the difference to me. The whole thing, everything changes. My attitude changes and also your perception will change. Similarly, Namutranam is the one which links you to the prayers. Otherwise, if you say, I went to the Sainsbury's and it says, this is tomato, mara tomatoes, mara. Namutranam links you to the prayers. So that's the Namutranam. I've emptied myself, I really wish to get those qualities myself. Otherwise, what's the point? Otherwise, it's like academic exercise. Bhagwan is a good qualities. That's just an academic science. This is what the qualities of Bhagwan are. But so what? What difference does it make to me? For it to make a difference to me, is I'm doing Namutranam. You have got the superior qualities, and because of the super qualities, I actually want to get the same qualities myself. So I'm emptying myself of my ego, and I'm wishing, I'm praying, can I also have the same qualities as you? And so that's the Namutranam. And that's the importance of why to say Namutranam. It's kind of amazing to see, initially when I was preparing this, Namutranam is just like, first word, like literally you can say one word, Namutranam is Namo Karo. But the depth and profoundness of each word is just amazing as you sort of ponder over it further. Now, so we've now done Namutranam. The next word is Namutranam Arihantanam. So that's the second word of this prayer. So Arihantanam. So Arihant kon kevai. So there is a difference between aham and arham. So aram is God and aham is ego. And because aham God here. And r, and so the middle letter is r. In mantra philosophy, r is the seed of fire. So if you look at arham, what it signifies is that ra is the fire, it destroys the aham. So if I destroy the aham, if I destroy the ego, then I can become arihant. Now, what this scripture shows is that you and I, we are all God. All of us are God. And we are actually worthy of, I'm worthy of worship myself, and you're also worthy of worship yourself. Let's try to understand that. So for example, our stone chair, can anyone realize our stone murti, a beautiful murti can be created? It's very difficult to believe. So unless I will patrape, like this is a huge stone, it's going to require a skilled artisan to chisel away all the unrequired parts and then eventually say, murti, patthar mati bahi. And that skilled artisan is our Parmeshtis. આપણે પરમેષ્ટિસ જે આપણે છે એ તું તારા બધા negativities કાઢ, તારા ક્રોધમાન માયા કાઢ. And if I start removing all these negativities within myself, I start reducing my karma, then my pure self will manifest. So essentially what it's saying is that the divinity is within you, it's within me. We all have to then just start working with the grace of our Parmeshtis, and we can then all realize we can become like our Parmeshtis. Arihant epitomizes that once the Lord was like ourselves. That's very, very important. If you look at any other philosophies, if you look at the Christian philosophy or if you look at others, there is one God, there is someone superior, someone external. Abraham Bhagwan was like us. He had the same flaws as us. He also had all these attachments, rag, dvesh. He went through this sansar. And after they realized the truth, they removed their karmas and they achieved perfection. So, after they can become like our Tirthankars. God is no one separate. They were just like you and me. Okay. Han means destroy inner enemies. Grammatically, Arihantanam is a plural word. It's a singular and a plural word. So when we say Namuttanam Arihantanam, we are saying Arihants of the past, Arihants of the future. Even if you look at English, there are quite a few words which are in singular and plural are the same. So for example, advice, arms, he's going to go and get arms. Whether you're going to get just one piece of badam or you're going to go for arms. So that kind of some English words, aircraft. So there are words in English which singular and plural is the same. Same thing with Arihantanam. So Arihantanam means the Ek Bhagwan Tirthankars, Ek Arihant, or they are going to be Arihants of the past, Arihants of the present, and Arihants of the future. So I am actually giving Namutranam to all the Arihants. Okay. So when we say Arihantanam, Ari means destroyer, Ari means enemies, and Han means to destroy. So and I think we said that last week also when we were looking at the Loka Sutra, how can we think of our Bhagwan pray kare છે કે આપણે ભગવાન we are praying to someone who are going to be destroying the enemies. What enemies? The enemies are internal enemies. Indriya, sense organs. આપણે the indriyas છે, because of our limitations of our indriyas, આપણે કેટલું બધું આપણે પાપ કે કરતા હોય છે. And just purely because of our senses. Taste માટે, આપણા touch માટે, all this hearing senses. Objects of pleasure, kashai, mental tendency like anger, parisha, feelings like hunger and thirst. So these are all the kind of internal enemies. Vedna, feelings of physical and mental happiness and sorrow. Vedanas we can all understand. If people are in hospital, so those are kind of physical health, but even mental happiness and sorrow. If you look at the news today, who is this person, Patrick, who is the guy who said after 25 or 27 years of marriage, he says now he's like, he feels like he's a gay, and what pain he has caused to his wife and kind of daughters. So after almost 27 years of marriage. So those are, and he was under a lot of pain and problems during this entire time. So those are mental kind of sorrows within his mind. So those vedanas and feelings. Upshar, suffering is brought about by human beings, animals, or divine beings. Upsarg is almost, looking at this, almost makes us feel like what's happening in China, it's what happened with Vasakram Stotra. Okay, there used to be a plague at that time, and lots of people were just dying because of this plague. At that time, Acharya Bhadrabahu recited Vasakram Sutra, and that's the time when the plague went away. And what we're witnessing right now is almost like that kind of doomsday scenario, that this thing is spreading far and wide, the coronavirus. Our Bhagavad Gita Okay, Krishna, another name for Krishna was Arisudan. He was destroyer of enemies. And what kind of enemies had he destroyed? Kanch, Shishupal. So does it imply that Krishna is Arihant? No. It's not external enemies, it's internal enemies. So Arihantanam essentially refers to your internal enemies. We will not go into a lot of detail right now, but it's kind of amazing to see that if suppose someone wants saying, I really want to become a scholar of Jainism. Just from the word of Arihantanam, someone can actually do a PhD and can do so much research that Arihant's qualities can keep it. Some special divine qualities which our human souls, human mind cannot even contemplate. And because of the purity of their soul, what kind of powers nature can endow you with. But even if you don't look at Tirthankars, we also know there are some very special gifted children who can do maths like this. They're very young boy. They are kids who 7-8 વર્ષના છે આખું તત્વત સૂત્ર છે કે આ આખું મોઢે શીખી જાય છે. Very gifted children. So we can imagine કે આપણને આટલું થોડુંક યાદ નથી, 2 દિવસ પહેલા શું ખાધું હતું યાદ નથી રહેતું. And there are some people who have got fantastic memory. So it's not hard to believe that our Tirthankars have got some very, very special qualities. And many of these qualities even come in Bhaktama Sotra, Bhagana Chama che, Divya Dhvani che. So these are all the kind of different qualities of Arihant. આપણે અરિહંત ભગવાન જે બોલે છે તે એની કહે છે એની વાણી પણ કેટલી કેવી હોય છે. What kind of speech does our Arihant? So if Arihant Bhagwan was sitting, their speech will be in accordance with the rules of grammar. It will be in a high, pleasant tone. And there are all these kind of different qualities of, and even to that extent, कि जब भगवान बोले, that speech will be understood by animals and anyone in their own language. So if you understand Hindi, you will understand Hindi. Gujarati, he'll speak just whatever he speaks in the language, but everyone will understand in their own language. Arihantanam also has got different meanings. Arahant. Ara means free from attachment. Raha means attraction. So what we are saying is that Arahant કોણ છે? આપણે ઘણી વાર નોકર મંત્રમાં પણ આવે છે. ઘણા માણસો કહે છે નમો અરિહંતાણમ, and some people say namo arahantanam. They don't say ari, they say ara. And ra means adorable ones. Ari means I'm bowing down to people, those special souls who have destroyed their inner enemies. And arahant means I'm bowing down to those adorable ones. Because they have now reached Siddha Shila, they are full of perfection, and so they are venerable, so they are adorable. So arahant means I'm bowing down to those who are adorable. Aruhantanam. Destroyers of karmic seed, so as to never be born again. Ruh. આપણે કહીએ ગુજરાતીમાં ઋણાનું બંધ. ઋણાનું બંધ means my father, my grandfather, is kind of the genetic hierarchy. So the destroyer of karmic seed, so as to never to be born again. Because for us, it's almost like that genetic code. We are born and dead, birth and death. So they are away, they have destroyed that karmic seed. Arohantaram. Raha means secret, those who have no mysteries to unravel. Hanta, free from the possessions in life. And Ahab, which are venerable ones. So you can see that the word Arihant can have slightly different linguistic meanings. And if you change to A or U, it changes the meanings slightly. So Arihant is different from Aruhant. People in the south of India, they used to call Alihantanam. So there could be a dialectical change. Rather than saying Arihantanam, Rana bol sake to Alihantanam bole. So, and then there are people, researchers to say that, that's because of what reason, why did it transform from Arihant to Aruhant to Arahant to Alihant. Very quickly, Arihants can be of two types essentially. Samanya Kevalis and Tirthankars. So for example, Gautam Swami was a disciple of Bhagwan Mahavir. Gautam Swami, then when we believe in the New Age Zarathaiche, we believe that he got rid of his karmas and he got Keval Gnana. So at that point, there is no difference between Gautam Swami and Bhagwan Mahavir Swami. They have both become Kevalis. And when they are the Sichila, there is no distinction between, say, Gautam Swami and Mahavir Swami Bhagwan. But on earth, Bhagwan Mahavir was a Tirthankar. He is the one who bound Tirthankar Dam Karma, and he is the one who propounded the religion. Gautam Swami did not propound the religion. He was a disciple, he got rid of his karmas, and he is a Kevali. So what we believe is that this Namutakam Sutra is dedicated to Tirthankars, not the Samanya Kevalis. Tirthayaranam Sayam Samuttanam Dhammasara Hinam. So this, he says, Tirthayaranam is to Tirthankars. So Namuttanam is dedicated to the Tirthankars. So Namuttanam Aryantam Bhagwantanam, that's the third word on this. So Bhagwantanam, આપણે ઘણી વાર કહીએ ભગવાન. So what does Bhag mean? ભાગ. આપણે કહીએ ને આના ભાગ્ય બહુ સારા છે. આના ભાગ્ય. So ગુજરાતીમાં ભાગ્ય. So ભાગ્ય means it's got a lot of wealth, a lot of prosperity. So one who has achieved Bhag is Bhagwan. Bhagwan has got immense wealth of prosperity. આપણે ઘણી વાર પૂછે what do you want to become? નાના છોકરાને, oh I would like to become a billionaire. But we all know that's even if you become a billionaire or even if you become a trillionaire, doesn't matter, that's all going to be material wealth. The ultimate wealth is the wealth of the Chitchila, that I just don't want to be born, this life and death mark circle and to get into Chitchila. So that's the ultimate wealth and prosperity. So that's why one who has achieved that is Bhagwan. You can look at a different way, that Bhagwan, another translation will be Bhai, Bhai Ant. So the word Bhai, so Bhai means fear and end. So Bhagwan said the fears have ended. Bhav Ant. So Bhagwan માંથી ભાવ અંત કેવું છે કે આખો ભાવ means reincarnation. That's ended. Okay, so together. This is another very nice meaning of Bhagwan. Bhagavana. Bha stands for Bhumi, earth. Ga means for sky, Gagan. Va. Va stands for Vayu, air. Stands for Agni, and Nir means earth. So combination of all these elements of earth is Bhagwan. So Bhagwan is beyond this. Earth, sky, and then they are sort of all encompassing. So what we know is that when we are humans, people can impress you for different reasons. Some people can say, oh, this is Miss India from the looks. Some people can impress you with your knowledge. Some people can impress because of power. But if you know Bhagwan, Bhagwan has got the infinite of everything. If someone can impress you with certain things, we know it's limited. The beauty is limited. The knowledge is limited. No matter how clever you are, but it's still limited. But Bhagwan's infinite knowledge, infinite beauty, infinite punya, infinite energy, infinite of infinite qualities. So that's why Sarvottam, the best of best. The top of toppers. So Bhagwan is Anuttar, beyond comparison. I Garanam. So I comes from the word Adi. Adesha Bhagwan. Because Adi, so that's what I Garanam comes from. The I stands for Adi means to begin something. Adinath was our first Tirthankar, Assi, Masi, Kashi, Adesha Bhagwan started agriculture, started fire. So I Garanam means they are starting the sutra. For us, that Bhagwan is the one who has given us a religion. That religion to us has now been poured into our agams, and that's come to us. So they are the ones who started, who are the beginners of religion, of Guru. So Aigana means they started the religion. George Bernard Shaw says, in Jainism, God is never a monopoly game. Gods in Jainism show you the way, by way of scriptures, how to become like them. It's quite amazing to see, in this world, we are in a very competitive world. If I have, I don't want others to have. As a fashion, I want a unique, oh, this is my unique jacket. I don't want others to have the same jacket as me. So people are very selective, that people want things exclusively mine. Even if you are a billionaire, then people have this power. Oh, I've actually got more money than you. So it just doesn't stop. There's always competition in this world here. But Bhagwan ma che, who is Bhagwan thyo, so that means that also you can become Bhagwan. It's not only a monopoly, oh, I have removed my karma, so I only become Bhagwan. So in Jainism, I have achieved that state, you can also achieve the same state. If religion is eternal, how can Tirthankars be originators? That's a very pertinent question. We believe that after religion che, there is no beginning, no end. So how can we say that Tirthankars started our religion? And in a nutshell, what it means, that through every era, there is going to be like kind of beginning, there is going to be chaos, and there is going to be end. So during all these epochs of periods, we also know, like for example, after sun came, the sun started this many billions of years ago. At one point, the sun's going to, all the energy is going to go away. So that means that there will be sort of total chaos. But then, what's going to happen, and we believe again with the time cycle, if that's going to happen, then at one point everything will start again. The sun will then again start emerging, and then there will be whole another time cycle coming in. So same thing with Tirthankar, after choice Tirthankar થઈ ગયા, so આજે Adesha Bhagwan આવ્યા, they propounded the religion. With time, that religion got lost. The nature, a lot of different upheavals happen. Maybe there could be natural catastrophes, calamities, So for example, અત્યારે આપણી પાસે all these scientific advancements છે right now. And for example, if there was a doomsday scenario that all this knowledge went away, we do not know about all these electrons, we do not know about all this microelectronic engineering, nothing. Then what's going to happen is going to happen that this whole knowledge will then start all over again. Maybe then after this chaos stabilizes, then everything has to start again. People will start understanding this little bit of science, and it's going to start again. So our choice Tirthankar, every period of Tirthankar started the religion, then there was a period whereby it also dwindled down, then another Tirthankar came along, and then it started again, and then kind of same process. Our last Tirthankar is Bhagwan Mahavir. We know we're in the 5th era, and then things are gradually decreasing. Chakravarti also, it's going to get even worse, and then everything might get wiped away, and then the whole time cycle will start again, and then everything starts fresh. So therefore, they are the originators of religion, not in the literal sense, but we know in a relative sense. So what our prayers are: oh Lord, we started and completed your journey for self-realization. Let me start mine. Oh Lord, your past is my present. This is very important. Bhagwan, your past is my present. I pray that your present becomes my future. Tirthayaranam. Okay, so this is just to explaining who is a Tirthankar. Tirthankar is very important. Tirthankar thea, because they are the ones who originated the religion, they did not have any gurus before them. So Bhagwan Mahavir did not have a guru before him. So Bhagwan Mahavir realized that there is something more to life, and then he went to the forest. He did 12.5 years of meditation. He got self-realization, and through the self-realization, he became a Kevali, and then eventually he attained moksha. Now, someone like his disciple Gautam Swami, he depended on teachings of the Lord, and then he became a Ganadhar, and then he attained moksha. So the difference between is Tirthankar Bhagwan not only have they achieved self-realization, but they got universal welfare. Bhagwan Tirthankar Bhagwan I have achieved these things, but they got universal welfare, and that what makes a Tirthankar. So the idea is in Tirthayaranam, from ideal worship, we want to get to ideal worship. We want to live up the qualities that Tirthankar that's the real essence of what our religion is about. Ideal worship to કરે છે, but ideal worship માંથી ભગવાનજી ideals છે, we really want to get those ideals, the qualities of our Tirthankars. Also a very nice example is the English translation of Tirtha is a fort maker. The fort maker means like a bridge. And what does that bridge mean? All of us are like in this ocean of turbulence, high currents. Sometimes we are going through ups, sometimes we are going through downs, sometimes there are crocodile-infested waters, we are struggling, there is all this pain, there is everything. But if Bhagwan apne sharan mali jaye છે, then that's going to help us to cross through this cycle of birth and death. And so that's why Tirthankars are called like that. The English translation is a fort maker. They are kind of the bridge maker. So apna sansar mati, they want to take us to Sikshila. There's actually a very nice temple in India. It's in Maharashtra, near Kumbhojgiri, and it's actually in the shape of a boat. Tirthankar it's actually in this shape here with the temple there. Just to show that Tirthankar they are the ones who sort of take us through this journey. I don't know, we might not be able to complete this, but we'll see how far we go. Swayam Sambuddhanam. Swayam Sambuddhanam means Swayam. Swayam means pote. Now in our religion there are two words which come very, very frequently. Swa and par. Swa means self. Maru swarup શું છે? સ્વરૂપ આપણે ગુજરાતીમાં કે how do I look? કે સ્વભાવ, મારો સ્વભાવ કેવો છે? કે મારો સ્વભાવ. So these are swa, to do with self. And par means others. Parlok.